and his partner, not partner, but like his buddy, Sir Ender Akinci, are drunks.
Yes.
They're drunk the whole time. It's
So we're
glorious.
No.
Method acting.
Yeah.
It was awesome. That's so cool.
That's insane. We're learning things and expanding minds and whatnot. Okay, so that's theater. And then my favorite other. Okay, so can I pick an anime and a non-anime?
Yeah. Sure.
It's really hard when you ask us what our favorite character that we've played is because you feel like you're doing a disservice to all the other characters if you just pick one. So I cheat. Okay, so my favorite non-anime was probably Nightcrawler and X-Men Evolution.
Yeah.
Oh, I met Stan Lee in the summer, last summer, and I brought my X-Men Evolution poster, and I snuck into, he was doing photos and things, but I managed to catch him just in a transition, because he's a very busy cat. His dance card is always full, and he's such an amazing person, right? So I snuck in there very sheepishly with my X-Men Evolution poster, and asked if he would autograph it for me. And I said, you know, Mr. Lee, it's really cool to meet you. I was fortunate enough to be able to provide the voice for Nightcrawler in a series called X-Men Evolution. And he says to me, and you were terrific at it. And I don't remember what happened after that. It was fantastic, yeah. Then the paramedics revived me and it was all good. As far as anime stuff goes, I've been very fortunate to work on several Gundam series. So I'm just going to say Gundam, because, you know, Katra, Amuro, Yarka, Owl, and Setsuna, all pretty cool roles. And, you know, a little guy called Light and Death Note, not so bad either. The end.
Woo! You guys like that question. I don't know how to answer that one. It's hard, right? I think stage probably playing Mercutio because of the sword fighting.
Yeah.
And then anime, I can't do it. I think probably I had fun doing Gojo at the time, but because I just laughed my ass off and fought with Greg all the time, but I kind of like everything that I'm in at the time the best. Yeah. That's my diplomatic answer. And
Good answer. Good answer.
He said stage.
Mercutio.
Romeo and Juliet.
Sorry, we'll wake you when we need you.
I
see sounds terrible all the time, and I really love her. It's hard to pick favorites too, but like on stage, definitely as much fun as Sotobi was. That wasn't my favorite. My favorite was another Shakespeare role. I got to play Richard III. That evil guy who does things. Yeah, everyone's like, who's that? Richard III. Yeah, we had to take the Roman numeral 3 off the play posters because we were afraid people wouldn't see it because they hadn't seen the first two. That's not true. But Richard III was actually really, really fun, and I love Shakespeare. I know a lot of people find it rightfully thorny and difficult going, but I've read Shakespeare, and he's been a part of my inner life since I was very, very, very little. So I just was always very much at home in his plays. So any chance I have to do anything, any Shakespeare is always fun. But Richard III was just great because he's such a scenery-chewing villain, and he's the evil and he's killing people, and you're like, as you're horrified as an audience by what he's doing, but he's so good at like letting you in on the secret. He's constantly winking the audience like, yeah, I'm gonna kill this guy. And so you're like, oh, what a monster. So it's really cool to play characters like that. And that was one of Shakespeare's first really fun, scenery-chewing bad guys, which is the first to kind of laid the groundwork for a lot of his other great bad guys that went on to inspire all of Western literature. And that would be my stage role. Anime, it's really hard to choose again because they become part of your inner family. You have like all these voices in your head yelling at you, like yelling over each other, like your real family does at like Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever holidays you all spend time together. You're like, hey, Petra, why can't you be more like your brother? And if you choose a favorite, you have like 18, 19 other characters in your head that night in your hotel room going, you're a bastard. I'm not speaking to you. But if I had to pick, I hesitate to call him my favorite because I would never want to repeat this role, but the most transformative for me as an actor was Okabe from Steins Gate. Because that was not only my first experience in a lead role that I was also adapting on the script, which made it doubly difficult. Because as an actor, then I have no scapegoat. I'm like, who wrote this crap? No, I did. So, you know, it puts a lot of pressure on you to get it right, but that character takes such an emotional journey that I actually had a breakdown in the booth one afternoon while recording, and it's actually what we kept in the final track. So if you want to hear me having an emotional breakdown, hello, I can't even say the words, I get paid. Breakground. Listen to episode 14 of Steins Gate, and you will hear J. Michael Tatum really crying and losing his I think if you put a long enough pause between the vowel sound and the T, it doesn't sound quite so bad anymore. It's the Gandalf way of speaking. Have you noticed that in the latest movie? You found your courage. Good, you'll need it. Why did you take so long to get to that T, Sir Ian? What's going on with you? So now they all go back from Steins Gate, and that's all I have to say about that. Brittney?
That's funny. Let me see. My favorite theater, which I only did musical theater, was Gertrude McFuzz and Seussical the Musical. I love that. And I actually had like a 30-foot long tail that I'd be in the dressing room changing outfits and they'd be still pulling it in. It was really cool. But it really sucked because they wanted me to jump on these ladders while singing All For You, which is a horribly difficult belting song, with a 30-foot tail. It was like, and then it got even worse because I don't know if you guys are familiar with the musical, but the song starts and she's like, I had a little trouble because I grew a little tail. Well, it wasn't really little, it was absolutely giant, and it really was attractive and you never even noticed. So, okay, so it's supposed to be that fast, right?
That's awesome.
It's supposed to be that fast, but this lady wanted to do it like this. I had a little trouble because I grew. Okay, so when I got to these belting parts, they're like, it was taking forever to, it was like, I was like killing myself.
So scream that normally like, ha! Would be like, ha!
Yeah, exactly. When I'm belting, like, it was like, and then she, 3 shows later, she's like, why'd you lose your voice? I'm like,
Because you made the choice of Dragon Ball Z-ing everything.
Yeah, but other than that, it was absolutely my favorite role. I was so into her. I had like a walk. I had like back problems afterwards because I walked like this. It was really fun. And singing like a bird and going into regular voice was really fun too. So that was before I did any voice acting. And then I'd say film-wise, I think just to watch it, like actually being in it was punctured, so it was just a really good experience. But watching it is the Starving Games, because I just have like this little role, but I get cut in half with a weed eater. It's not even a spoiler, it happens in like the first 5 minutes. Then I die. But it's really, really funny because like we're fighting over a backpack, can't miss, instead of Katniss. We're fighting over a backpack, and then I get stabbed in the neck, and she's like, you don't need any more, you got stabbed in the neck or something like that. And I'm like, no, it's my backpack. And then I get stabbed in the back twice. And so she like takes off and runs away, and I get like chopped in half with a weed eater, and then I'm still holding on to the backpack. And like I'm like on the back, I'm like, and then she turns around, and I'm like, it's my backpack, it's mine. And then I get thrown off, and I'm like, well, that was my backpack, and that's all of it.
I would like to take this moment to point out that your two choices are about as polar opposite as they can get. One was a Dr. Seuss character in a musical with a 15-foot tail, and the other one was chopped in half with a weed whacker, fighting to the death over a backpack. Only in acting can you have these kind of choices. I love you, Brittney Karbowski.
But voice acting, like he said, I couldn't choose. Like I would say one, and then I'd be like, no, this one, but then this one, but then this one. And I have so many favorites, and I've been doing it for 9 years. So, I mean, it's like I think, yeah. And so, but there's so many. Like, every time that I did it, like, I loved being in Gilgamesh, or I loved Pawnee Pawnee Dash, and then, like, then the years go on, and I like, I love Black Star, but I love Yamada, but I love, then I'm forgetting stuff. I love Icarus. I love, Angel meets Yuri. So there's so many that I can't really pick a favorite because I love doing all of them. And I also, like I said, I like being paid. Money is good. I like paying my bills. Yes?
Hi. How long does it take to get chopped in half with a weed whacker? I've used those things before, they kind of suck.
You know what's funny too is there's like a really crappy mannequin, like whose legs are like tall as my body, that falls over.
Was it like one swift sweeping motion?
Yeah.
Because I want
She's
whatever
like-
that brand
she's
of
like
weed whacker is.
like it's like
Toro,
in the
you
grass,
gotta go
it's like
Toro.
flying everywhere, and Glamour is weed eating up to me, and then like just comes up and then a mannequin falls. It's really, yeah, but it's by the people who did Scary Movies, so it's supposed to be stupid.
It's movie magic.
It was fun. It's fun to watch. It was really hard to do because it was like Louisiana in the summer at like 100-some degrees, and I'm in long johns. I have on boots up to my knees, like riding boots. I have on a sweatshirt, a rig, so the ice could come out of my back and neck, and a long sleeve jacket for 8 hours.
I've done the opposite of that, where I was in Canada in January doing a beach scene in my bathing suit. Hypothermia is not in my contract, unfortunately. But yeah, it's fun, on camera work.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, they were like, oh, I'll bring you an umbrella. I'm like, how's that gonna help? Oh, it'll block the sun. Right.
Keeps your coworkers' sweat off of your head. You, sir, with the beret or the hat. Is it a beret or a hat?
No, it's... Anyway. not that fancy. First of all, I want to say it's hilarious that after doing so much anime, you think Shakespeare is complicated.
Yeah. Well done, well done.
I wondered if there was a challenge, because you've all started with stage acting, and that energy of pushing it out to a whole theater, if there was a challenge, or if it was hard for you to bring that energy into just a microphone that's right here in front of your face, or if you just let it rip and let the engineers take care of it.
For me, being less physical in the booth was a problem. I had to make that adjustment and say, you know, I can't be gesticulating and moving and like I usually do on stage. Because, like, I think on stage, people don't even listen to the words. Like 90% of the communication there is nonverbal. So, and then all of a sudden, everything is verbal. Everything is about the voice and the inflection and everything that you're doing. So, it took a bit for me to adjust to that. I think I hit a couple of mics and stuff in the booth before I kind of acclimated.
Yeah, it's quite a challenge because on stage it's a totally different kind of acting. I mean, you're trying to emote, you're trying to make sure that the back row can see and hear what you're doing, but at the same time you don't want it to sound stagey. It's a very difficult balance to achieve. Because it's very over the top. Everything is very... You can watch it, a great example is what it looks like close up, is go back and watch really early silent film. Because the only precedent for acting that close up, of course, the only precedent for acting of any kind was stage. So a lot of the performances in very early stuff, good though they are, they're very stagey, and so when the camera's right on them, they look really over the top. So a gesture that on camera should be like, would be like, you know, and it was just because that's the kind of thing you have to do to be seen by, you know, by a huge audience in the back row. So it's different. When you're in front of a mic, your primary job is to not destroy the booth or the mic, because those things are expensive. And but you can't just move around. I'm a very physical actor, so I tended to pretend whatever was going on in my head, or what was supposed to be going on with the script was actually going on in front of me. So if I'm like shaking a character, I would actually shake them, and then the engineer would be like, no, but I'm like, and they can't use that. So you have to learn how to trick your body into doing things so that your head and your face can stay right on mic, but you can still sound, say, like you're running or you're fighting or things like that. It's very difficult. There's a whole other bag of tricks involved that are not terribly dissimilar when you get right down to the techniques you would use for stage. They're just inverted, which just takes... some people now, I took to it because I think there was there was actually quite a span of time between my stage career and my voice acting career. I gave up on acting for a very long time, and only it found me years later, and that's a story I'll get to later if there's time. But so I kind of already just unlearned by letting all those synapses atrophy in my brain what stage acting required. So I just was very natural on mic and was like, oh, I was very nervous, but luckily the first character I ever had to play was very nervous, and so the best direction I ever got from Chris Bevins, who's my favorite director to work with. He's like, look, stop trying to be nervous. Let the character be nervous. You know, you're trying so hard to act not nervous yourself. There's nothing left over for the character. And so I'm like, oh my God, that's right. I can just use my emotions and put them, and now it's the character's nervous. And oh my God, genius. And so, but I mean, it's a different kind of acting, but I think it's very free, because I think when you're going out for stage roles, you're limited by your body type. in a way. It's just, I mean, I can, whereas in, you know, if you can train your voice, you could do more. I can conceivably play a 17-year-old kid, but I'm never going to be able to play one on stage unless my colleagues are all 7 feet tall. So I have more range, more vocal range than I do physical, and so I get to explore more characters with my voice than I do with my body. So I've just learned over the years. I would like to go back to stage at some point and see how my experience in the booth translates back to the stage, because then having to emote all that outward again would be a challenge, I think. So,
I think that would be difficult.
I think that theater, I mean, most people that end up in on-camera or voice stuff do have some kind of a theater background. It just seems to work out that way. And I think it really does translate well into voice acting, because if you have somebody that's just sitting in a chair or standing completely still and speaking into a mic, as much as they think they might be emoting great, when you hear it back, it does sound flat. So having that type of theatricality in your performance does kind of help convey a more lively read, I guess, for lack of a better term. But the physicality of it is an issue. It is something that you kind of adjust to. But to give you kind of an idea, for animated work, in Vancouver anyway, I think it's the same pretty much all over the place. They bring in one actor at a time. You record all your dialogue, then they bring in the next actor. But this, the X-Men show that I was working on is a prelay series for North America, so they have all the actors in the booth at the same time in a big room. And if you ever watched us recording a session of that, you would see not a bunch of people standing politely at a mic and talking like this. You could see X-Men battles. You know, I got Scott McNeil standing across from me as Wolverine, and he's got his arms out like this, and you can see the adamantium claws popping out. But he does it in all such a way that it's not affecting him going off mic or clothing noise and stuff. You do just enough to get the performance that you need to evoke without ruining the technical aspect of the recording. So it was a lot of fun, like looking around the room and seeing, you know, Cyclops over here and Wolverine over there, and there's Rogue, you know, mixing things up over here, and I'm like, this is the best job ever.
Oh, I'm supposed to talk. Sorry. Let me think. I think it depends on the role, because if at the beginning, most of the roles that I went into were kind of crazy and wacky and over the top anyway. You know, like Himeko and Pony Pony Dash. So I didn't really have to reel that in at all. That's just me with a lot of coffee. But, you know, then I remember trying to do Gilgamesh, and that was my first one ever, and I swear I said "and then" so many times. I felt like, dude, where's my car? Because he's like, he would give directions that were like, okay, milk it, but skim milk. What? And it'd be like, it needs to be a darker shade, like not gray, but like a little darker than that. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So, and he'd just be like, darker, darker, darker. Oh, I need a cigarette. I'm like, okay, God, okay. But it was difficult. I still move around quite a bit in the booth. A lot of times I lose the headphones. A lot. It happens all the time. I'll go back to laugh and be like, ah, and they're like, and I'm like, oh, sorry, and I'm like, they don't see me for a second, I come back up, I'm like, I got him! But, and I've hit the pop screen a lot, and you don't even know where that thing's been. It's dirty. It's like, it catches everybody's food and spit particles. You're like, oh, somebody had garlic for lunch. Gross.
It's like a fishing net.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Every time I go in there, I'm like, can you do Lysol and a toothpick? But I am really physical. Okay, so this can be applied to other jobs too. So say you are a sales representative and you're on the phone. You can't just pretend to be happy just by talking. You actually have to smile. But then when you smile, it sounds different because naturally your soft palate gets lifted and you sound different. If I'm waving, I can't just be like, hi, I have to be like, hi, and it just sounds different. It's just, so I do a lot of physical things in the booth, but it was difficult to learn, Walla was difficult to do, or just like that, like just
The background.
talking forever, improvising in the background. So I wasn't used to improvising. I was used to like a script,
Yeah.
or Foley, because you know, let's face it, nobody walks around making sounds for everything and making 70 gasps in a row and making them all sound different. But when I learned how to do Foley, Matt Greenfield had a really good idea, because I was really bad at it at first. He was like, well, okay, have my boyfriend at the time, which is my husband now, have him rearrange your furniture. I know, it's that long ago, oh my god. Sorry. Rearrange all the furniture in your apartment, and then turn off the lights, or have him blindfold you, and then as you run into the furniture, don't hurt yourself, but just like barely do it, just be really elaborate on the sounds